a couple who earns $250,000 a year says they can't find a house within their budget. This is from ZeroHedge, so economics in here a lot. You guys, what do we do about this? We talked a couple of shows ago about 237 cities having starter homes at the $1 million mark or more. And now we're getting an article here that says $250,000 is not enough for this couple to find a home in their budget.
But I did read that they were looking for the last 3 years. And then I did a little research. I went back to 2021 when rates were around average 2.7 to 3.1. And I'm like, well, what are you looking for then? Because they wanted $3,500 to $3,500 payment. And I'm like, well, back then it was a lot easier to get than it is now. And you're probably going to have to wait another 2 years to even come close to that.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, way to just shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So I know I picked this one.
It's what you call on the fence way too long.
I saw the 3 years. I'm like, well,
yeah.
So I picked this one so we could talk about it, guys, because there's a lot of factors here. So I don't want to just read through it, but Brian, it's a great point in bringing that up, because people that waited now might have waited too long, and the choice is now painful. So can they still afford a home? Probably, but they're saying in their budget. Yeah. And I want to highlight this part. Now, they're saying, oh, well, we wanted to spend $3,000 to $3,500 a month at 30% of our take home after taxes. Well, again, that's take home after taxes, not 50% of gross. Correct. So you have all these like math things at play. If they wanted to get a house for $10,000 a month, they could, but it doesn't meet their budget. And that's just the way it is. So in some cases, I'm not saying that you can't have a house if you don't make $10,000 a month. I'm not saying that, or pay $10,000 a month. My point is that our own personal decisions cause some of these outcomes. This is not just point and blame the market, point and blame the Fed, point and blame the industry, point and blame sellers and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's just not in the cards, and it doesn't work out for you because sometimes we wait too long.
Yeah. No, and it's true. Like, this is the case where you're kind of being unrealistic. $3,000 to $3,500. I mean, BlackRock came and bought over 5,600 units in San Diego.
Yeah.
And in the last 3 years, the rents have increased by more than 38%. They went from $1,600 to $2,600 on average. Mm-hmm. So is that going to be us? Is that going to be you, the renter? Because you're trying to be on the fence and just seeing what's going to happen. Obviously, they missed the boat.
Yeah.
They missed the boat. I mean, like they say, Jesus right there, you got
I want to see a sign.
I want to see a sign that this is the right time, right?
2.7, 2.7, 2.7.
And you don't take advantage of that when you don't see the light on that one? No, I'll wait for the rate to go down. It didn't happen, guys.
So on the other side, let me take the flip side of this. Like, yes, they might have missed the sign, might have made the wrong choice in waiting, but now how many people are in the same situation?
Too many.
There's so many people we talk about, because we've talked about affordability until we're blue in the face. All my hair's gone.
The worst ever.
I had hair when we started talking about affordability and inflation. Now
82 episodes ago.
82 episodes.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, how many people are in this situation? They're making I would say good money. And I was having this conversation with my wife this weekend, and I was like, I was just talking about like us. Yeah. I was like, we do really well, but it takes a lot more now to do really well.
Goodness,
number one. And doing really well used to yield different things.
Yeah.
Like we used to do different things that we're doing now with the same amount of money that we're making now compared to before.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's just this erosion. And it's not just us, of course. I know it's not just us. It's not just the folks in this article.
It used to be, Andy, when I used to see clients that made $80,000, $90,000, for sure they're getting in.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have a client that yesterday I had to have a hard talk with her. And she works for Homeland. She's been there 3 years. She makes about $115K a year. And I couldn't get her into our property at $475.
What?
One, you can't find anything. Yeah. Her max was $475, okay, with no HOA. And that price point here in San Diego won't get you even. It's not going to get you anything. So it was her credit scores were like a 748, good credit. She had a little bit of money saved up and stuff, but it's like, no.
Dude, that's tragic. That makes me so sad.
It's not going to happen.
That specific case for people that are like, well, I have everything compensating that I'm supposed to. I've been working hard. I'm doing this. I got money in the bank. That's unfortunate, because they're like, I did everything right. And then now I'm like,
now I need a second income, right? Now you're doing a second income. And for us to use that, you'd have to, with VA, it's 2 years, 1 year with conventional, you can do that. And so it's like, you just have to wait now.
Yeah,
or find a co-signer.
But then that puts you in that waiting room again, just like these folks here in the article. It's like, now I'm waiting. Is the market going to continue racing out ahead of me?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to catch up to it if it's ahead of me now and I got to wait longer? Am I going to just be trying to catch up to it again later?
Yeah.
Is it ever going to? Am I going to close that? Am I going to close that gap? I think that's the hardest part in having these conversations right now with people, but also even with the internet.
Yeah, these are facts. This is what it is. This is what it's been boiling down to.
Yeah,
it's just not Samuel and Laura here, Graves, that's going through this.
Yeah,
this is all, a lot of the people, the majority of our nation that's facing the situation right now.
Well, and I'd say especially in these areas where the 237 cities that have $1 million starter homes,
that's crazy.
Like, first of all, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Was it half of them you said were in California, I think?
Oh, yeah,
was
exactly.
Half of them were in California? Like, all right, well, here we are. And then, what do you tell someone what do you tell a couple that's bringing in $250,000 and they're like, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, dang, that's a tough conversation.
Yeah.
But I think for their case, they didn't want it to work and it could have worked. But
yeah.
That's just, like, hey, it doesn't work for us right now.
Because $250 is a lot of money.
Yeah. And the market's not going to just go, oh, you want to be in a $3,000 range? Let me just change the market into what you want. Like, no, the market is what it's at. And it's being set by other people who are willing to pay it.
Yeah. Because, Andy, $250 divided by 12, what's that?
You're talking about $25,000 a month.
Okay,
gross.
There you go. Come on. And you can go with VA.
Or 22. Wait, did I do that right?
I don't know.
Whatever. It's like 20,000 and change.
Perfect. So, and then if you're going 45 with, debt to income ratio with conventional, that's a nice substantial. You could afford more than a $3,500 payment.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking $20,833 a month.
Okay. And multiply that by 45% debt to income.
Shoot. Come on now.
We're not going to go with the 38 standard that the government wants, or
24.
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Times 45 debt to income ratio. So 9,370.
There you go.
9,375.
Okay.
So that's what the
even
threshold
if you stay
is.
like a 7,000, you know what I mean? That's going to be doable. You should be able to find a home. That's going to put you in the $800,000 range.
Yeah,
more or less.
I mean this 9,375 is like 3 times what their budget,
correct, yeah.
what their budget wanted, even though that's the threshold for the debt ratio.
Yeah.
But if we were looking at what would be the qualifying basis on the 250,
right,
there's your number.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
93. Woo.
There you go.
Man,
and I'm not saying that you have to go with that. I'm just saying, hey, we'll go double it to 6,000.
Man.
You know,
so
and then
crazy.
start earning equity now.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Be a part of the 17 trillion.
So I think maybe the push here is like, hey, listen, if you are making good money and you're trying to figure out where the inroad is, you might need to close that gap a little bit on your approach. The market might do a little bit for you with rates coming down. The market might do a little bit for you with inventory coming back on board. But you might actually have to edge a little bit closer to yourself as well, not just think everything's going to come right to you.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what I would say.
Yeah. Not only that, like really be realistic.
Yeah.
Be realistic. I know that a lot of time is like we want all this data, but then having all this data and not really putting it to work is going to do you no good.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So, it's like analysis by paralysis.
Yeah. And you would think that they're, from what I see, they're financially responsible with how much they want to spend. So I'm sure you're how do you say, resourceful enough to be able to find the research and information that justifies why it is that you should be buying now or why you shouldn't be buying, and make a logical decision.
Yeah. I mean, if you just stop me on the street and you're like, hey, would you like to pay $10,000 a month for a home? You'd be like, yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to. Like, that's what it takes. Okay, well, maybe later.
Yeah.
There's that. I guess there's that part that it just exists too. So
yeah.